In the vast cold darkness of space, the cargo ship Starlight Horizon moved with calculated precision. Its hull gleamed under the distant starlight, a metallic predator hunting for opportunity. Korik, the lead navigator of the Galactic Trade Confederation, sat in the command center, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing an abandoned human research station. The station hung like a silent ghost against the backdrop of an unremarkable asteroid field. No lights flickered. No energy signatures betrayed any signs of life. To the untrained eye, it looked like just another forgotten human outpost, a tempting target for those willing to take risks. Vanel, the ship's strategic analyst, ran another scan. "Confirmed," he said, his tentacle-like appendages dancing across the control panel. "Zero life signs, zero active energy signatures, it's completely dead." Korik allowed himself a small smile. The Galactic Trade Confederation had been searching for opportunities like this for months. Humans were considered unpredictable, sometimes dangerous, but also often careless. Their research stations were known to contain valuable technology that could be easily resold in the black markets of a dozen star systems. The boarding team prepared with military precision. They wore advanced environmental suits designed to protect against potential contamination or unexpected hazards. Each member carried specialized equipment for extraction and data retrieval. Their mission was simple: get in, collect valuable technology and data, and get out without leaving any trace. As the airlock connected with the station's exterior, an eerie silence greeted them. The corridors were perfectly preserved, as if the entire facility had been suddenly abandoned mid-operation. Scientific equipment remained exactly where researchers had left them. Computers stood in sleep mode, their screens dark and silent. "Spread out," Korik commanded. "Collect everything that looks valuable. Prioritize data storage units and advanced technological modules." The team moved quickly and efficiently. They disconnected server racks, collected strange-looking scientific instruments, and downloaded massive data files from seemingly dormant computer systems. Each item was carefully packed into specialized containment units designed to prevent any potential tracking or identification. What they didn't know was that every single item they touched contained something extraordinary: microscopic tracking, devices embedded so deeply into the technology that no standard scanner could detect them. These were not ordinary tracking chips, but adaptive quantum markers developed by the most advanced human research teams. As the aliens systematically stripped the station of its technological treasures, they remained blissfully unaware of the trap they were walking into. Each piece of equipment they collected was precisely selected, each data module carefully positioned to tell a specific story. The station itself was a meticulously designed lure, created with the sole purpose of being discovered by unsuspecting alien traders. Its appearance of abandonment was intentional, its contents strategically placed to attract exactly the kind of opportunistic thieves now moving through its corridors. Vanel paused near a locked storage unit. His scanning equipment showed multiple layers of encryption. "This looks interesting," he called to Korik. With practiced expertise, he began bypassing the security protocols, unaware that each attempt was being carefully logged and analyzed. Hours passed. The boarding team collected what they believed was an incredible haul of valuable technology: rare scientific equipment, advanced computational modules, and terabytes of mysterious data, all seemingly ripe for the taking. As they prepared to disconnect from the station, Korik felt a sense of triumph. Another successful mission for the Galactic Trade Confederation. Another profitable venture that would enhance their reputation among various trading networks. What Korik and his team didn't understand was that they had just walked into an elaborate trap. Every single item they had collected was part of a larger, more complex plan. The humans had not abandoned this station. They had prepared it. The first signs of trouble would emerge soon. But for now, the Starlight Horizon sailed smoothly through space, its cargo hold filled with what its crew believed was a priceless technological treasure. Little did they know that their treasure was about to become their worst nightmare. The terrestrial-extraterrestrial response command headquarters hummed with quiet intensity. Commander J. Park stood before a massive holographic display, her fingers hovering just above the flickering data streams. The room was cool, filled with the soft electronic whispers of advanced computer systems. Around her, a team of analysts worked with machine-like precision. Hana Kim, the chief data strategist, moved between multiple screens, her eyes tracking complex patterns that would look like meaningless noise to anyone else. She was hunting for something specific, the digital fingerprints of the recent theft. "Got something," Hana muttered, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. A series of complex algorithms began to map out the stolen item's unique, quantum signatures. Each piece of technology taken from the research station carried a specific genetic code, a digital DNA that could be tracked across vast distances of space. Commander Park leaned closer. Her background in xenological defense and strategic warfare made her uniquely qualified to handle these situations. She had spent years preparing for moments exactly like this, when humans would need to respond to alien provocations without direct military conflict. The tracking system began to reveal an intricate network. The stolen items weren't just simple pieces of technology. They were carefully designed Trojan horses. Each device contained adaptive algorithms that could infiltrate and analyze alien communication and technological systems. "They have no idea what they've just brought into their infrastructure," Hana said, a slight smile crossing her face. The first stage of the response was already in motion. Invisible lines of code began to spread through the alien communication networks. These weren't simple viruses or standard hacking attempts. They were sophisticated pieces of adaptive technology that could learn, modify, and integrate themselves into complex systems. Commander Park reviewed the initial analysis. The Galactic Trade Confederation had a reputation for opportunistic trading and minimal ethical considerations. They saw humans as a relatively young species, technologically immature and easy to exploit. This theft was just another example of their typical approach to interstellar commerce. But they had made a critical mistake. The research station was never truly abandoned. It was a carefully constructed trap designed to look like an easy target. Every piece of technology had been specifically prepared for this moment. The humans had been watching, waiting, planning. Hana continued her work, her fingers moving with surgical precision. She activated the first layer of economic disruption protocols. Invisible algorithms began to infiltrate the trade routes and financial networks used by the Galactic Trade Confederation. "Initial penetration complete," she reported. "The first economic destabilization waves are forming." Commander Park nodded. This wasn't about immediate retaliation or destruction. This was a measured, calculated response designed to send a clear message. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were not a species to be stolen from without consequences. The tracking systems continued to map the stolen items' journey. Each device was like a living piece of intelligence, gathering information, creating detailed maps of the alien infrastructure. They would learn everything: communication protocols, trade routes, financial systems, technological vulnerabilities. "Prepare the second phase response," Commander Park instructed. Her voice was calm, almost gentle, but carried an underlying steel that spoke of years of strategic training. The room continued to buzz with activity. Analysts worked in perfect synchronization, their movements coordinated like a complex dance. They were preparing a response that would ripple across multiple star systems, a silent tsunami of technological and economic disruption. What the aliens didn't understand was that this wasn't just about recovering stolen technology. This was about sending a message that would echo through alien civilizations for generations to come. Humans might appear young. They might seem chaotic and unpredictable. But when pushed, they could respond with a level of strategic complexity that would shock those who underestimated them. The first economic disruption waves began to spread. Invisible, unstoppable, the human response had begun. And the Galactic Trade Confederation would soon learn a very expensive lesson. The economic disruption began quietly, almost invisibly. Like a slow-acting poison, The human-designed algorithms started to infiltrate the Galactic Trade Confederation's most critical systems. Trading routes that once promised massive profits suddenly became unpredictable and costly. Korik sat in the main command center of the Confederation's primary trading hub, watching in growing confusion as financial reports turned from green to deep alarming red. Screens flickered with unexpected data anomalies. Trading networks that had been stable for decades now showed inexplicable instabilities. "This doesn't make sense," Vanel muttered, running diagnostic after diagnostic. Each scan revealed nothing, no external interference, no obvious cyber attacks. Yet the economic damage continued to spread. The first major trading route between the Centauri and Orion sectors collapsed within hours. Shipping companies that had operated for generations suddenly found their most profitable paths becoming financial black holes. Investments that seemed rock solid began to crumble without any apparent reason. What the aliens didn't understand was the sophistication of human strategic manipulation. Each algorithm was a living, breathing entity, capable of adapting, learning, and spreading like an intelligent virus through the Confederation's economic infrastructure. Hana Kim watched from Earth, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. She was like a grand chess master, moving invisible pieces across an interstellar board. Each movement was calculated, each response precisely measured. The human strategy wasn't about immediate destruction. It was about creating long-term, sustainable economic pressure. They were systematically removing the Confederation's ability to trade, invest, or generate meaningful income. Trading platforms began to collapse. Investments vanished overnight. Companies that had seemed untouchable now teetered on the brink of complete financial ruin. And still there was no clear source of the disruption. Korik called emergency meetings. Senior trade ministers gathered, their faces filled with growing panic. They analyzed reports, searched for vulnerabilities, but found nothing. It was as if their entire economic system was being dismantled by an invisible hand. The beauty of the human strategy was its complexity. These weren't simple cyber attacks or direct military interventions. This was economic warfare at its most sophisticated level. Each algorithm was designed to look like a natural market fluctuation, making it impossible to trace or stop. Communication networks within the Confederation began to show signs of strain. Trading information became unreliable. Market predictions turned into wild guesses. The entire economic infrastructure was slowly being torn apart from the inside. Vanel discovered the first hint of the true nature of their problem. Hidden deep within the stolen technological modules were adaptive algorithms that could predict and manipulate economic patterns. These weren't just tracking devices. They were complete economic warfare systems. "They planned this," Vanel whispered to Korik. "Humans didn't just create a defense. They created a complete economic destruction mechanism." The Confederation's leadership began to realize the true extent of their mistake. What they had considered a simple theft was now revealing itself as a carefully planned, strategic operation. Humans had transformed a seemingly abandoned research station into the most sophisticated economic weapon in galactic history. Trade routes continued to collapse. Financial systems began to fail. What had once been a powerful and seemingly invincible economic confederation now looked like a complex structure made of glass, slowly being dismantled piece by piece. Commander J. Park watched the results with calculated calm. This wasn't about immediate revenge, this was a lesson, a message being sent across multiple star systems. Humans were not a species to be underestimated or stolen from. Each passing hour saw more economic damage. The Confederation's leadership scrambled to understand, to find a solution. But the human-designed algorithms were always 3 steps ahead. They adapted. They learned. They destroyed. The strategic manipulation had begun, and it was only going to get worse. The aliens had stolen from a Deathworlder. Now they would learn the true meaning of consequences. The stolen technology began to reveal its true nature. What seemed like ordinary research equipment transformed into something far more dangerous. Each device the aliens had taken from the human research station carried a secret, a quantum-level intelligence that was about to cause complete chaos. Communication systems across the alien confederation started to fail simultaneously. First, it was small glitches, dropped signals, momentary interference. Then, entire communication networks began to collapse. Massive data centers went dark. Critical infrastructure started shutting down without any apparent reason. Korik watched, in horror, as the Confederation's most advanced technological systems turned against themselves. Quantum communication relays that had been reliable for decades began sending nonsensical data. Navigation systems became unreliable, sending ships on impossible routes. Defense networks started to malfunction in ways that defied logical explanation. "This is impossible," Vanel muttered, desperately trying to run diagnostics. But each attempt to understand the failure only revealed more complexity. The technology was adapting, learning, changing faster than any system could track. The stolen devices were not just tracking devices. They were living, breathing technological weapons. Each module contained adaptive algorithms that could infiltrate and understand alien technological infrastructure at the most fundamental level. They didn't just breach systems, they became part of them. On Earth, Commander J. Park watched the technological dismantling with calculated precision. Her team had designed these devices to do more than just track. They were meant to completely neutralize any technological advantage the aliens believed they had. Research stations across human space monitored the unfolding scenario. What was happening to the Galactic Trade Confederation was a carefully orchestrated demonstration of human technological superiority. Each failed system, each collapsing network was a message written in the language of quantum technology. Alien defense systems began to fail. Planetary protection networks went offline. Communication between different sectors of the Confederation became impossible. It was as if an invisible hand was systematically destroying their entire technological infrastructure. The most terrifying aspect was the intelligence behind the destruction. These weren't simple viruses or standard cyber attacks. These were adaptive systems that could learn, modify, and destroy with unprecedented speed and precision. Hana Kim monitored the technological warfare from her station on Earth. Her fingers moved across holographic displays, tracking the progression of the adaptive algorithms. Each movement was precise, each action calculated to maximize technological disruption. Entire alien star systems found themselves cut off. Navigation became impossible. Trade routes disappeared. Communication networks collapsed. The Confederation's technological superiority, something they had prided themselves on for generations, was being systematically dismantled. Korik realized the true extent of their mistake. The research station wasn't abandoned. It was a trap. Every single piece of technology they had stolen was a potential weapon. Humans had transformed ordinary research equipment into the most sophisticated technological warfare system ever conceived. Quantum level. Algorithms spread like an intelligent virus. They didn't just attack systems, they understood them. They learned from them. They became part of them. Each stolen device was a living piece of human intelligence, designed to completely neutralize alien technological infrastructure. Defense systems began to fail. Communication networks collapsed. Critical infrastructure shut down across multiple star systems. The aliens found themselves technologically blind, deaf, and increasingly helpless. Commander Park's strategy was clear. This wasn't about immediate destruction. This was about sending a message. Humans were not a species to be underestimated. They were not a civilization to be stolen from without consequences. As the technological warfare continued, the Galactic Trade Confederation began to realize the true nature of their mistake. They had stolen from a species that understood technology in ways they could never comprehend. They had provoked a response that would be remembered for generations. The stolen devices continued their work, adapting, learning, destroying. Each moment revealed more of their incredible complexity. Humans had turned ordinary research equipment into the most sophisticated technological weapon in galactic history. The technological warfare had only just begun. And the aliens were completely unprepared. The Galactic Trade Confederation lay in ruins. What had begun as a simple theft had transformed into a complete systemic collapse. Entire star systems found themselves isolated, their technological infrastructure completely destroyed. Korik sat in the main command center, watching as the last remaining communication networks flickered and died. Around him, senior leaders looked broken. Their once powerful civilization had been reduced to scattered, disconnected colonies. The economic damage was total. The technological destruction was complete. And worst of all, they had no way to fight back or understand what had happened. Commander J. Park watched from Earth. Her team had designed this response with surgical precision. This wasn't about revenge. This was about sending a clear, unmistakable message to any civilization that might consider threatening humans. Emergency meetings were called across alien leadership centers. Desperate attempts to understand the catastrophe revealed nothing. The human-designed technology had removed all traces of its origin, leaving only complete destruction in its wake. Bunnell, the strategic analyst who had initially scanned the abandoned research station, now understood the terrible truth. Humans had transformed a simple theft into a civilization-ending event. Each stolen device was a weapon more powerful than any traditional military technology. The Confederation's leadership sued for peace. But peace was no longer an option they could negotiate. They had been completely dismantled, economically, technologically, and strategically. Hana Kim monitored the final stages of the technological collapse. Each algorithm worked perfectly, removing the alien Confederation's ability to recover or retaliate. It was a masterpiece of strategic planning, a demonstration of human technological superiority. Entire trading networks collapsed. Communication systems died. Critical infrastructure disappeared. The aliens found themselves suddenly primitive, cut off from the technological systems they had depended on for generations. Planetary governments began to fragment. Colonies that had been interconnected for centuries suddenly found themselves isolated and vulnerable. The sophisticated civilization they had built was coming apart at the seams. Commander Park's final transmission was simple and clear. It was broadcast across all remaining communication channels, a message that would echo through alien civilizations for generations. Stealing from a Deathworlder comes with consequences. The message was both a warning and a promise. Humans were not a species to be underestimated. They were not a civilization to be stolen from without facing total destruction. Korik understood now the true meaning of human strategic thinking. What had seemed like an easy theft had become a complete civilizational collapse. The research station was never abandoned. It was a carefully designed trap across alien worlds, the story would be told. A cautionary tale of the day an alien confederation thought they could steal from humans. A story of how a single act of theft led to complete destruction. The quantum-level technology continued its work. Adaptive, intelligent, merciless. Each stolen device was a living weapon that continued to dismantle alien systems long after the initial attack. Bunnell looked at the collapsed systems around him. Years of technological superiority, generations of economic power, all destroyed in a matter of days. And they had no way to fight back, no way to understand the attack. Hana Kim allowed herself a small smile. The response was perfect, precise, calculated, a demonstration of human technological capabilities that would be remembered for generations. The Galactic Trade Confederation was finished. Not by military force, not by direct conflict, but by the most sophisticated technological warfare ever conceived. Humans had sent their message, clear, unmistakable, absolute. Do not steal from a Deathworlder. The ultimate consequence had been delivered.